Today we're going to be talking about just things around the house or in the pool. So this is our pool stick. That's our bumper on the bottom. This is our butt sleeve or the butt of the cue stick. Then we have our forearm. So this will be the lower end of our cue stick. And then that's our pin, the male side. Here's our collar on the shaft side of our stick. And then at the very top we have our ferrule. And that helps us attach our tip. So here we have our wrap on the bottom section of this stick, give it a pull glove and a fiberglass shaft. And then chalk helps control friction and moisture control for the Q-tip, which will help with English. Table brushes, Simonis X, it helps clean the dust off of our table. And then here we are with just some shaft cloths to kind of help clean. And then here we have 3 sticks that look very similar, but 2 of them are actually personal cues that people walk in. They're sneaky peeks, and we call them hustler cues. So beware of people that carry those. These are bridges or a crutch. They help reach across the table. Then here we are with a pull cue holder, and this one is specifically the claw. Then we have a hard traveling case to put our pull sticks in, and then a soft traveling case which usually holds 1, and the top one usually holds like 2 to 3 butts and 5 shafts. Here we are with the magic rack, which does 8, 9, and 10 ball, and your standard plastic rack that's below. And here's a different set of cue balls that people use for different purposes. They just work differently. Some are good for training, and then snooker balls for smaller pockets on the pool table. And then here we are with a very old Brunswick Century billiard set that I have, and then snooker set. So a lag, after the first rail, the closest ball to the second rail will win the lag. So what is a lag? You can slow this down just to get a better understanding of my definition of what is a lag. Okay, as we move on, this is what we do as we rack the balls. They kind of go in an alternate order, usually keeping one in the bottom corner opposite, being a stripe or a solid. So these are the pockets, buckets or jaws, cushions and bumpers. Then these are the rails on the standard pull table. Inside there is where it's in the kitchen. That is your head string, and this is a game of 8 ball. So second ball break, I did not hit the first ball in the rack. And this was actually a dry break where nothing falls. Now we're going to change the game to 9 ball. So we just used all the solids in the 9 ball, which would go in the center of the rack, 1 in the front. So make sure that all balls are touching, that none of them roll off when you raise up the rack. That's what the magic racks are typically for, to keep it pretty consistent. So this is a cup break. If you make the 9 ball on the break, you usually win. So that's why they try to do it like this and get contact. Whereas I did not, but I made a ball so I would still be able to shoot. There are more links down below with game descriptions for you. So here are some basic fouls. This one is where you accidentally tap the ball. Okay, you can't keep shooting. Here's another one where you kind of double hit that and you try to follow through and pretend that didn't happen. Doesn't count. Here's another one. It's where your cue ball falls into the pocket and you end up scratching. So here is shooting wide. This is when you kind of hit far off. Sometimes when you shoot straight into the rail, is digging into the rail. And then this is catching the point. And then here is a pretty typical shot that most people do. Hit high on the cue ball and it becomes a follow shot with topspin. So make sure you understand where that cue ball is going, because that got very close. You don't need to get anxiety while you play pool. So understanding left, center, right. on the cue ball. So here's just center, and it's going to just follow the natural line of that angle where it deflected. So I'm just going to kind of roll these down in slow motion so we can see how much of the contact point on our object ball actually is. So here's the cut line to the pocket. And now we're going to use some outside English, a little right, and that should throw that ball a little to the left. So naturally, the English right here, it's going to spin. It's going to work like a gear a little bit. And it's going to throw the 3 ball or the red ball into the pocket a little bit more. As you can see, I'm hitting much more of that ball full. And then here we're kind of holding that cue ball and hitting less of the 3 ball now, as you will see. So that's inside English. Okay, let's use in English toward our object ball's pocket, or the direction that it's going to roll. That would be inside. So here's a little diagram. You can hit pause and look at this for a second, just see the differences. So here's a quick example. I'm not going to hit it too hard, but you'll see the reaction off that bottom rail. Kind of comes backwards where it naturally would normally want to roll right. So this is a cut down the rail. These are good to practice. These are game winners. Sometimes you got to make that choice to either shoot it down or try to go for the bank, which is very intimidating sometimes. So here's a stop shot. Very basic. You should practice those over a pocket. Give yourself some pressure to make sure you're not scratching and the cue ball is stopping. Here is a break stick and a jump cue. Just want to show you that these are very hard tips and much fatter shafts and ferrules. So this is very basic. You are not allowed to scoop underneath. And I'm just going to show you real quick, moving the cue ball a little closer, that we're just hitting on top of that ball. And it just hops over very naturally. Just very simple. I'm not even hitting the felt. Might look like it because I got dings everywhere from practicing masse shots and doing my fun stuff. But here we go. The object ball is right there. I jumped over the blocker so I could pocket that 1 ball. So make sure that you're not scooping underneath because that's not allowed and it actually damages the felt. Here's a single rail or a bank shot. Pretty basic. We should practice those just so you get an understanding of the roll and trajectory. This is a stun shot. We're kind of holding the cue ball, not letting it roll too far off. And then this is a pretty straight shot. There's no angle, so this is force stun. Gonna bring that over a little bit. Almost looked identical to the last shot, but believe me, they're very much different. So here's our shooter's ball and the opponent ball is down there. Why not just play a hook safety or a defensive shot? That would be much easier than trying to work out those 2 balls. So here's some kick shots. These are very interesting at times. It's good just to get a feel for your rails or your bumpers and see how they play. So this is just a single rail, one rail. Here's a 2 rail kick shot now. I'm going to use this side rail and hit that top rail, but much different angle. And then everybody loves to try to practice the 3 rail kick shot, but I'm not lining up the cue ball in the standard position. So I'm hitting a little bit off to show you that 1, 2, 3 rails is still good. However, some might argue that that 4th bottom rail might actually count. I still say it's a 3 railer. Here's an official 4 railer. It's pretty. And then this 5 railer, let's just say that we're set up in this position. These are really nice. Get a lot of energy on the cue ball. But I'm going to actually pull back the cue ball. Try to shoot on that same line. Get the same position. This is just me roughly gauging. I do not have a magical cue ball hiding there, or a ghost ball. So we'll see. Pretty close. We get around 5 times. Well, there's that bottom rail again, so maybe 6, but I already call that my 5-rail kick shot. Here's a carom shot. These are very important to know when you are playing pool. Sometimes the ball looks blocked, but actually we made it in that pocket, and now we can still shoot at that 3. Here's a shot that everybody loves to watch because those are money makers, and sometimes we got to be able to get to our ball. This is a natural Z-bank. As you can see, I drew it up a little different for you to see. Then here is a timing shot. Usually the cue ball comes into the picture after initial contact and helps a ball fall in the pocket. So why are diamonds on the edge of the pool table? Well, it's going to help with our angles. Okay, so we're going to go 1 diamond, half the distance across using center cue ball. We're going to do the same thing again, set it up on a diamond, but with this we need to find the equal distance and gauge it by the diamonds. So here's our side pocket. I'm using my hand, going to come in and then straight in between, so it's right in there. Use center ball. We're just practicing these kick shots to kind of just get a view of what that cue ball can do, or what your object's going to do if you hit it on those lines. And then this one, pretty simple, right? Corner, you'd go straight to that center diamond and then bounce to that side pocket. So if you need to use diamonds around the table, even beyond those side pockets, that's how you use those. So English on the cue ball, here's an example of us just kicking it off the rail using a half a tip to the right. I shot it straight and spun over. Gonna do the same thing now, but we're gonna go 1 tip right, and the lag speed is gonna be about 3 to a 4. And then here we go again. This one's gonna be a little more extreme. Gonna have to use about 2 tips, lag speed of about 4 to 5. It's gonna curve a little bit and then hit that point, but it'll still drift over. Okay, and then just to show you real quick, what do you think I just used? Little pop quiz. So that was a little bit of right English. That would be outside English. It's going away from our object ball's pocket or its direction. And then naturally, we're going to show you what the inside English does from the top view. Not using a whole bunch, just a little, just to show you right there. Inside English is toward the object ball's pocket, and then we'll keep it on that side of the table. So some quick tips for your mental pool bag. Back cut with no English and little high tip placement. It's going to keep that line. So you got to remember that's going to run toward that pocket or whatever direction. So try this instead if you're in a similar situation. Going to be using a lag speed about 5 to 7 just to make sure that we can get the cue ball to react and hold. We hit that low, that'd be a draw shot. There was no way we were going to scratch from that. So our next ball, trying to get way back on that bottom rail, we're going to do force follow. This is going to take some top. As you can see, it comes all the way around, gives me my shot. I almost scratched, but we won't worry about that. Still a good shot, I would think. And then our next ball, that's on the other side, we're going to draw this shot back with bottom. That would be our backspin, screw, or a draw shot. Pretty simple to pocket those when the cue ball's closer. So here's a few fouls and miscues. So when the balls are frozen, means there's touching and there's no gap. I'm gonna let you decide, but that cue ball's getting kind of jammed in between, and that tip really has nowhere to go. So initially it gets tapped twice by the cue ball, and that would be considered a double hit. So we're not allowed to do that shot at a level stance. Okay. You can hit pause, save that, send it to a friend if they don't believe what a double hit is. So, frozen, you cannot do it like this. Okay, that's going to be a double hit. Some people are going to try to skimp and say, well, I draw it back a little bit. Nope, still foul. So here's a 45-degree angle, or even more will help. That is a legal shot. We'll slow it down right here so you can see that the tip goes straight down by barely hitting much of the surface of the cue ball. And it was a single touch, supposedly. That's the rules. We'll go by it. This, personally, I like it, but the cue ball does kind of get away from us. So you can line this up at a perpendicular line and just thin your object ball with the cue ball. This is totally legal, and that will go as long as you're thinning it. Okay. So typical miscue. How many times have you seen yourself do this? So either you're aiming too far outside, you're not allowing the right contact point, or maybe there's not enough chalk, you could be popping up, you could just not be focusing. There could be a few different reasons. Somebody made a loud noise in the back and it distracted you. Also hitting it too low when you're just trying to do a basic draw shot. Okay, you're just hitting a little too low, you're kind of scooping it, which is not allowed anyway. So keep the game simple, hit good contact points on that cue ball, and don't make it hard on yourself. Okay, that was just a little bit of backspin on there, so a little below center. I'm just using the angle, not really putting left or right on those. Now this, I'm going to show you what it is to be reckless. I didn't need to hit it that hard or draw it up toward that corner, so just be careful. So here's some terms that we like to use around the table. So if it was helpful, I do have quick tips and short videos available. You just need to hit like and subscribe and my stuff should pop up for you. And I appreciate you watching. Here's my outro. Enjoy.